Welcome. You're here for directions on the second portion of the personal budget project. There's 3 elements that you'll be completing or working on for the second portion. The first is a 1040 form so that we can figure out how much tax it is that you're supposed to pay. There's the tax worksheet, and you'll start on the personal budget overview. First thing we'll start with is the 1040 EZ for most of you. If you know that you're going to have income of over $100,000, I'm going to ask that you print out a copy of the regular 1040, which would just be 1040 without the letters EZ at the end. If you print out a copy of that along with the amount that you have as a 25th percentile as a salary amount, if you'll print those and bring them in, I can try to assist you with figuring out that income. So if you fall into that boat, you're going to want to do so well in advance of the due date so that you have time to get it completed. For most of you, will be unfortunately in the $100,000 or less category, and so we'll be able to work off of the 1040 EZ. And so we're going to be using the form directly through the instructions, which you can find here. Through the instructions, find out how to use a form fillable website, or you can also edit the PDFs of the files directly on your computer, as we will do so here together. So in order to complete the 1040 EZ, which you should probably be familiar with, you'll be typing in your name, your social security number. Please don't use your real social security number. Feel okay to use 9s if you choose. You'll put in your home address. And remember, this is going to be the home address of where it is that you would like to live in the future. And so make sure you put in, the city and state. The actual address is not very relevant, but the city and state of where it is that you'd like to live once your education is complete. So if you recall, we're going to need to get your salary information from our 25th percentile from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And so for this position, the 25th percentile was $54,650. So we're going to enter that here into box 1. And we will put 0 for taxable interest. We'll have 0 for unemployment compensation. We're going to add lines 1, 2, and 3 together. So 54,650 once again is the same number. We'll be claiming ourselves, so we'll need to deduct $10,300. And on line 6, we're going to need to subtract line 5 from line 4. So we're going to subtract 54,650 minus 10,300, and we're left with 44,350. And then we're going to input on the line for federal income tax withheld, we're going to input 0. Now I know that you're accustomed to doing taxes for others, as we've done in class, and you actually put a number in. Here we're putting 0 because we haven't had any monies withheld from our checks yet. We're not going to qualify for the earned income credit or combat pay, and so we will have made a total of 0 payments. The idea, again, of filling out the form is to figure out how much tax is it that we are to pay. We'll need to then go to the tax table. And so we'll go to the tax table. If you want, you can just Google, you can search for IRS tax tables. And we're going to need to be looking up the amount 44,350 in the tax table for line number 10 in this example. 44,350. And so we'll get to 44. So 44,350. And we're going to say the taxable amount is 44,350 is going to be 6,888. So we'll return back to our form, and we'll put that amount 6,888. We're going to assume that your workplace will have health coverage for you. I hope that's the case. and our total tax is going to be $6,888 in this example. No one is going to be getting a refund from these tax forms, right? Again, the idea is to figure out how much money is it that you're expected to pay in federal income tax. No one is going to get a refund. So how much will we owe? Well, we'll owe the amount that's from the table, which is $6,888. You'll want to input the date and occupation. Actually, I can't click on the date, so you can handwrite the date in and hand sign it, and your occupation and the phone number. You can just make one up as far as the phone number is concerned. And that's how you do the 1040 EZ. Now, this number, this result of how much money we owe, is going to then go into the next item. If we go back to our Schoology directions, we're going to complete the tax worksheet. And the tax worksheet is very simple. It looks very complex, but it's actually very simple to use. We're going to input the career that we've chosen. Remember, you're going to need to go up to File, and you'll need to make a copy of this file. It's already my file, so I'll be able to edit it, but you won't be able to. And so we're going to input the annual salary. And so if you remember from our 25th percentile, the annual salary was $54,650. And so you'll notice some of these other numbers changed. The only numbers we're going to need to modify are those that are in yellow. So you'll note that if I modify the salary amount, that some of these other numbers change. These other numbers are the amount of Social Security tax that's withheld from our check and the amount of Medicare tax that will be withheld from our paychecks. And so we're going to need to change the yellow item to the amount from the 1040 EZ that we completed. Oops. And we should know that amount to be $6,888. So we're going to input that here, $6,888. And you'll notice that below, some of these other numbers are going to change. So it's looking like our total tax bill for the year, if we make $54,650, the total amount of taxes that we're going to have to pay in federal income tax is $11,069. Represents about a 20% tax rate. So this information that's here is going to be very useful to us in the next step, right? So our wages, our monthly wages, are going to be in the amount of $4,554. You see here our monthly taxes are $922, leaving us about $3,632 left to spend, except that we need to have $363 in savings per month. And so I'll show you where to put those in the next step. So we're basically done with this sheet. We've input our name, we put our career, we put our state of residence, and we put our starting salary and the annual income tax. And so at that point you would want to print that page. Next up is the personal budget overview. We're only going to be modifying a couple of items in this overview. You'll be coming back to the same overview each time throughout the project. And so here is our overview. You'll want to modify it so that it includes your name and your period number, as well as we're going to input some of the information from the last worksheet, right? So $4,554 is the amount that we have monthly income, right? $4,554. And then we're going to go down to the federal taxes. And the federal taxes monthly, we've already calculated, is $922. We got this number because we input the starting salary and the amount of income tax. Everything else got calculated for us. So we're going to then convert and take this number, 922, and we're going to move it over to the federal taxes part of our budget. Then the other number that we need to be concerned with is the savings amount. And we're going to be able to have a choice of how we distribute that savings amount. That savings amount has to be this amount, but it can be greater. You have to put at least 10% into savings, but if you'd like to put a larger number, you are more than welcome to put a much larger number into savings. And so we'll give you the opportunity to spread it around this savings section as long as the total ends up as 10%. This 10% of your expendable income will be okay. So we can put in, say, 300 into a savings, transfer to our savings account, and 100 into retirement, and that gets us over the 363. Or we could just do $263 there and $100 to the retirement, or 50 here and 50 there, as long as we get it to at least the 10% amount, or it can be higher, of course. And you will be printing this page. Now, the one thing you want to keep in mind when you print this page is that you want it to print all on one sheet. And so you want to say fit to width, and we are going to make sure that we print it in portrait mode, not landscape. Notice how it had started with a default of landscape. We're going to print it in portrait mode. And so we'll select our printer, and we'll hit print. We only want it to print, we only need the very first page, so maybe we'll just designate that we only want the first page. We'll click print, and there we have it. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me during class, or also feel free to email me. Thanks.